Hey everybody, welcome to the Galapagos Reptile Ranch. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I am not a brand loyalist. For instance, I have Exoterra enclosures, but I'm using Zoom Ed lighting and hardware. I'm using stuff from Josh's Frogs to populate my plant growth in here. I always look for what I can find that meets my needs and my animals' needs more importantly. I want to talk to you today about a product line that has been around for about 2 years from what I can tell, but I only recently discovered them about 4 or 5 months ago when I was setting up some of these enclosures. And that product line is called Galapagos Pet Supply. I just want to throw out there, I am not sponsored by Galapagos. They're not paying me for this. When I began setting up some of my polydariums and my vivariums, I was looking on Amazon, and then I was looking at Josh's Frogs, and I was looking on Triple L. I was just looking all over the internet for products that could go inside my enclosures that would make them nice looking. And I happened upon a couple products that I've already incorporated. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the products that Galapagos Pet Supply makes. Their products primarily consist of cage accessories like decor, bedding, things like that. So to start, I'm just going to show you some of the products that I have here that will in the future be incorporated into some of my enclosures. You know, I'm going to start building this one probably tonight actually, and I've got another much larger one to start putting together also. Let me show you some of the products that they offer. The first thing I want to show you is this rope ladder. This, of course, is meant primarily for an arboreal animal. You could use it with a snake, you could use it with a lizard, you could use it with frogs. It's made of a natural material, but it's also bendy. You can flex it and put it where you want it inside your enclosure. So what something like this does is it adds another dimension to your enclosure. Let's say you have, looking at my enclosures, you can see how I have plants that aren't just up against the wall, they come out forward. Well, this does basically that same job. It gives them not just the back wall to climb up or the side walls, it gives them climbing space inside. Looks like one of the rope bridges from American Ninja Warrior. If you want your geckos or your frogs to compete next year, buy one of these to train it. I just really enjoy this, and of course it's made of a material that if it's too big for your enclosure, like say you got something this small, just cut it. This stuff is pretty flexible, pretty easy to use. The next product I'm going to show you, I've already used in one of my enclosures. I have actually 2 of them in here with my Cork leaf-tailed gecko, and it's this. It's a mossy piece of bark. So you can see, it's just a slab of bark with moss on it. And this moss, it's probably seen better days. It's not going to grow for you, I highly doubt. But what it will do is, just like any other moss that you might put in your enclosure, it's going to help suck up water, retain moisture, and then provide humidity in your enclosures. Something that really impressed me about this company was how their products actually looked. I've always been more of a substance over appearance kind of person, but sometimes when you're decorating enclosures, appearance is important. And the appearance of these is pretty right on. Whoever is designing these items, I've got to say, they're doing an amazing job. So this piece here, I think was like $12.99. They're also relatively inexpensive. It's, I don't know, 12 inches by about 4 inches. So it would go pretty well in any vertical enclosure, or, I mean, look at this, perfectly horizontal. A snake could live under this thing. It could be like your hiding spot for your snake. And this is just, it's a great little piece. This is the kind of stuff that I used to go out in the woods and look for, pull off of a tree and bring into my enclosures. This is a little bit more sustainable. If you have any kind of arboreal animal, you know you want to have plants that have vines on them, you want sticks, you want actual bendable vines, and both Zilla, Zoom Ed, and also Exoterra, they all make pretty nice vines. In fact, this enclosure has an Exoterra vine braided in with some other vines. Well, this is the Galapagos version of that. And I just love this thing. This is their mossy vine. I mean, look at this. Somebody had to take all this moss and affix it to this flexible, bendable vine. Now, I will warn you, it's moss. Look at this. Little pieces fall off. So before you actually incorporate this into your enclosure, it's a good idea to sit there and beat on it a little bit. Oops. It's a good idea to beat on it a little bit to get all the loose moss off of it. If it were to fall in the bottom of your enclosure, it's not the end of the world. It would just add some green to the bottom. If an animal ingested this, I mean, it is just moss, so it probably wouldn't hurt them. But if you have other pets throughout the house, you're going to want to clean this up. Not only did I see this when I was looking on the internet, there's a couple of local reptile stores in the Phoenix area that are carrying their products, and something that I saw that I thought would be a great product if I set up poison dart frog tanks again are these little moss houses. So not only is there moss attached to these, but they've taken little twigs and stuff to make like there's roots coming through these. So in my brain, what I see is a little hobbit hole, you know, from Lord of the Rings. And the next time I set up a poison dart frog cage, it's probably going to look a lot like Hobbiton. It's pretty sturdy, man. I could crush it if I had to. But any animal that this is appropriate for, that you put it in an enclosure for, it's not going to do damage to it. Again, it might knock off some of the surface moss, but I don't think it's going to do much damage. Above all, though, when you moisten this, the moisture in the water will soak through, and this can provide a nice humid hide for your lizards and snakes, which is important when they're getting ready to shed. Another product they have that's pretty common, they've got their Coco Core blocks that are just like what Exoterra and what Zoo Med sells. Same size, it expands to the same amount. I put it in the bucket, it filled the bucket about halfway up once I moistened it. One really nice thing about this though is currently, where I purchased this from, these were $2 a brick. For somebody that goes through the amount of stuff that I go through between setting up new cages and refreshing up my tortoise enclosures that are still inside, this $2 for this amount is a great purchase. Another really cool decorative item are these mossy sticks. When you buy them, you don't just buy one, you buy a pack of 6. They come, from what I could tell, 3 lengths. I think it was 12 inches, 18 inches, and 36 inches maybe. They're also flexible. Now they're not completely bendable because there is actually something solid in here, but if you wanted to put this in your cage and kind of make a bow or an arc, or you needed some kind of support from something that's hanging down and you just wanted to rest on something, well, this would do it. This would definitely make that happen for you. And again, the name of the game here is humidity, so would do an excellent job in your enclosure if that's what you're looking for. Recently, I needed a big thing of cork because I'm setting up two more polidarium style vivariums, and I need something to go on the walls, to attach the walls, to put plants in. And I'm kind of going to do a shelf system is what I'm thinking. So I ordered this big piece of cork bark, and I was like, wow, this is nice. So I ordered another one just to be able to show you guys. Look at the size of this piece of cork bark. I mean, by itself, it could fit in the biggest thing that Exoterra makes, or in the super tall skyscraper that Zoo Med makes. This is like so easy to break and put into the pieces that you want. It's, you know, it's cork, so it's lightweight. The shipping wasn't crazy on this thing, and again, it's visually pleasing. And being real cork, if you start to plant mosses and other vining plants, they're going to grow up this. It's going to have that next level of bioactiveness to your enclosure. Another product that I like that I saw from them is this royal pillow moss. And what is pillow moss? You know, most people end up buying sphagnum moss from pet stores. I do often enough. I usually buy the bricks. I like to rehydrate it and use as much as I want instead of having a gigantic bag if I don't need it. And those bricks tend to, when they're fully fluffed out, are way more than what you get in your bag. But this is pillow moss. So this is what you might see in your yard underneath of a tree. This is pillow moss. This doesn't just spread out, but this is really good for making hills and other forms of topography in your enclosure. If you don't just want flat ground with a slight incline, these right here just provide little bumps and stuff. And when they're down, little nooks and crannies, if you've got poison dart frogs, little areas for them to hide in between the pieces you put in there. If you are working on a bioactive tank, all of your roly-polies, you know, your little isopods and your dwarf isopods and springtails are all going to be able to get in the little open areas. Let's say you really like these critters, but you don't quite have the eye or the creativity to get to this point. That's no problem. Just like a lot of other companies, they come with a starter kit. Now I have to stress, this is a starter kit because this only covers about 4.5 quarts, whereas this little brick here is 8 quarts. And you know, if you've ever rehydrated one of these bricks, this is good for about a 20-gallon aquarium. Maybe if you're going to go thin, a 40-gallon aquarium, a 40 breeder. But so something like this would probably be perfect for a 10-gallon aquarium. 10-gallon aquariums are 20 inches by 10 inches. So if I was going to use it only in a cage, it would probably fit best in a 12 by 12 tall types of terrariums that ZoomEd and Exoterra make, this is probably good for one this size. You might be able to stretch it out for one that covers 18 inches by 18 inches on the ground, regardless of how high it is. So what does this come with? Let's have a look. So this comes with several types of mosses. This particular starter kit, humidity loving reptiles and amphibians starter kit. So first, we'll look at something kind of unique that you don't see very often. It's reindeer moss. When I was in Alaska, this stuff grew everywhere, and I never really tried to incorporate it into any of my enclosures. I never really thought it might be very spongy, but I can feel by this that, yeah, this could definitely go in some enclosures and just add a nice little accent. I wouldn't use this for the entire bottom. I would use it like a little bit here, a little bit there, just kind of add a splash of a different color and different texture in your enclosure. This also comes with a mossy vine. So if you don't want something quite as gigantic as the last thing I pulled out, well, this is only about 2 feet long and good again for a smaller enclosure. Of course, we've got the classic little bag of sphagnum moss. Now you can see that this is definitely not going to cover a lot of area. So you might look at this as something you can put inside the high box to help keep them humid. Next, we've got some more of that pillow moss that you saw in the large bag. Sheet moss. Now once you add some moisture to this, it'll kind of unfold a little bit easier. But look at that. So something like that you could lay across. It goes across the entire thing. Or if you want it to go up the back, you just get something, maybe the proper types of glue that are non-toxic, and just put it on the back. So that would give it not just color and texture, but also somewhere for the animals to climb and grip and go up and down. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by Galapagos. I just really, really like the visual aesthetic of their products. I did say that this is one time that I went with appearance over substance. I've had this cage set up for about 3 months now, maybe 4 months. The moss isn't molding. There's nothing growing on it. It's still, despite being misted every single day, it's still very well adhered to the back of the bark that it's being used on. I'm going to see if I can rehydrate and bring this pillow moss back to life. I don't know if I can. I'll fill you guys in on that in the future. But when it comes to making a terrarium look nice and even adding some fun to your terrarium with something like this is the company that I tell you have to go look for. You can find them online. You can search for them on Amazon. You can look for them at Josh's Frogs. You can look for them at LL Reptiles. Reptilesorus.ca, that's a Canadian company. That I believe is one of the most popular reptile websites up there. You can find pretty much all of their products on that website. This company, they may not have quite the notoriety that a company like ZoomEd or Exoterra has, but I guarantee you once you buy a couple of their products, you're really going to like what you see, and you'll probably become a fan just like I am now. If you'll excuse me, I now have to clean up this mess before the wife gets home, and then I'm going to start putting together this guy here so I can move on to the big polydarium. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. Have a great day.